Last week, I debuted Comic Do's and Don'ts for the channel. Last week, I talked about one of, if not my favorite, singular issue of comics to ever be put out in Legends of the DC Universe number 6. At the end of the video, I made the mistake of teasing that this week would be the WWE Backlash Triple Shot. After I looked at the calendar, I figured out, nope, that's actually next week. So this week, on Mr. Super Oz, Oz, am going to return to the concept of comic do's and don'ts. But this week, we're going to hit the don'ts. Because not everything can be Everlasting Survivors Volume 1 all day long. Limited quantity still available at Etsy.com. That was the Jeff Hicks cover. This is the Nick Crook cover. Yeah, so I did my best to, in that 68-page graphic novel, to appeal to so many and put out a product that can be enjoyed by any and all. Gamble Comics, here it is. When Everlasting Survivors returns to Indiegogo, there will be 2 new covers. Those 2 will never be printed again. There'll be hats available. There'll be t-shirts available. But after we roll this beautiful open, we're going to take a deep dive into a comic that fell off a cliff. So it started out as a surprise drop, like some of those famous people do. They're like, oh, here's my new album. I didn't even tease it. Well, Robert Kirkman did that with this book, Die, Die, Die. And when we come back, we will talk about how it started, how it ended, and why it got canceled. Like I said, Robert Kirkman, he dropped Die, Die, Die as a surprise, as a secret release, like all the big happy pop folks do. Not all, but a few of them have done in the past. And he was like, oh, I got this new hot product, and he started out. It was kind of like Wanted, which we've talked about here on the channel, with except these are government agents who do in-depth psychological takedowns. But at the end of issue 1, you find out one of the heroes, or the primary person we've been following, he has a twin brother. And then later on you find out, oh, they're triplets, and it's like they're all named after the Beatles. It's all fairly interesting. It's fun. It's gruesome. It's very gruesome a lot. Like, the primary character gets his nose cut off. But, again, the title's Die, Die, Die. So it's not as though I had the misconception of the delusion that this was going to be, friendly to all. I mean, yeah, it says mature readers on the cover, so I'm not complaining about that aspect of it. I'm just saying that it had intelligent parts and it had gruesome parts, but where it fell off the cliff was, well, it's been said in the public that there's a thing called TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, but that's not what I call it here on this channel. I call it worshiping at the altar of leftism. And that's exactly what Robert Kirkman did. So, after he got, oh, I don't know, it wasn't here, it was a 3 and 4, 5 and 6, it wasn't here, I think it was 7, 8, or 9. So, it had to be issue 9, because I don't have it here in my stack. Because issue 9 of Die, Die, Die was the first and so far only time in the history of me reading comics that I read one page, I turn it, and I rip it in half. It was 9 or 10. But regardless, whichever issue it was, I was so turned off by what was being fed to me by this creator that I literally took the comic, ripped it in half, and threw it in the trash. I even remember I was at a laundromat when I was reading it. This is a couple years back. But what happened was, in the prior issue, this secret government group that was this cabal, if you will, they say, oh, we can't let Trump take over, so they install Barack Obama for a third term. And it's just like, well, that's strange, but, you know, whatever. That's not why I tore the book. But the shadow government that kept Obama in office and kept Trump out, they came to a realization when the people didn't rise up against them. They said, oh, we can do whatever we want now. So the last page of the issue before I tore it up, there's an old curmudgeon lady, this woman getting her face beat in. She goes to all of the cabal folks and she says, what are all of the ideas you want implemented, since we have carte blanche at this point to do whatever we want? And each one of them give their different ideas, and one of the pitches is for what they call dick babies. And I thought, that's puzzling, but again, it wasn't brought to light until the next issue when you open the book up and it's breaking news. Abortion clinics are being opened everywhere. That's the fastest the Senate's ever passed any resolution bill thing to do anything. Because Robert Kirkman is writing this story as though it is only because men can't give birth in his world that they're against killing children. No siree, not the case at all. But in his tiny perspective, in his leftist worshiping at the altar of leftism mentality, that is all it is. That's the only reason that the right-wingers are so anti-abortion. It has nothing to do with the fact that you're ending a life. No, that can't be it. So, when I read this news headline, or I read this panel that's written of these news anchors giving this report about how that, oh, it's the fastest a bill's ever been passed, and they're working to put up these clinics everywhere, and you see in the next panel that there's line out the block of the Valvoline, because now they don't just rotate your tires and change your oil, but now they have abortions on demand. I felt so insulted that you have this little of consideration for your readers' beliefs against something. Like, again, I'm not against abortion because, oh, I want to control women. No, I'm anti the taking of an innocent life because it's innocent. That life that is being put out was not in the wrong. Like, it just blew me away that somebody could have so little consideration. And like I said, for the reader and and think so little of the opposite perspective. Like, I knew from years gone by that he was a leftist because he put in dialogue, he put an abortion in Invincible, but you know, he treated it very much like the old 90s safe, legal, and rare concept. But yeah, here's the page of Obama taking over, because every second page, or not taking over, but being installed as the forever president crap. But yeah, every time you get past the first page, it goes die, die, die. Well, in the one that I tore up, the one that tore me up even, it was that page that said die, die, die is a page of a man getting an abortion. And it's like, clearly you don't understand who you're against, who you're speaking against, or writing to speak against. Because, like, you know, myself personally, there was a time when I may have had a child, but unfortunately, nature stopped it. There was a miscarriage, and like to pretend like if there was a way that I could have helped, then or physically been there and done something, I would have ended it. No way. That's not the case at all. And it's so belittling to treat people that way. Like, I know that this is a video about something else, but like, I would never speak that way in my own stories. I try my best to be welcoming and approachable, but that way that Robert Kirkman wrote that story was so, like I said, off-putting. It bothered me. That's why I took it and I ripped it. Like it's one thing to like I said, to be so anti Trump that you say, oh well, in my world, Obama stays in office. Okay, that's fine. It doesn't affect real people. It's you manipulating. It's you manipulating something very minute. Whereas when you pretend as though people who are against abortions would flip on a dime and change for convenience sake, that's not the case at all. That's not the case, and that is a comic don't. Like I said, last week's comic do was be respectful, and in this case, the comic don't is do not be disrespectful to your audience. Don't be disrespectful to your reader. Don't be disrespectful to those of a different perspective. Like, it's one thing to hold different mindsets. It's a completely different thing entirely to make believe and pretend that someone doesn't feel the way they do for a explicit purpose that isn't something that can just be brushed away and belittled. So if you didn't watch the comic do's and don'ts from last week, the Legends of the DC Universe #6, I recommend that you go back because it's good, it's positive, it's uplifting, it's not the dark timeline that this book lives in. And I miss, and that's it. That's another thing. Like I talked about how that the Legends of the DC Universe was from 1998, and this is from what, 2016, I think, 17 maybe. Well, I mean, Trump took office, so it's probably 16. But the point is that, or this thing's real out of date because this says 19. But the point just is, be respectful to your audience. Like I said, the book didn't make it past 4 more issues after he went that hardcore route, because I don't know for a fact that's what did it. Maybe he got to the finish line. I don't know, because I sure wasn't willing to stick around. But yeah, so does anybody want these? I have the first 8. I don't want them. It's just that I spent my money on them. So, hey, hit me up if you want these. Leave a comment below if you want to try issues 1 through 8 of Robert Kirkman's Die, Die, Die. Yeah, I was so happy when this came out. I was excited. I thought, oh, this can be fun and different. Well, it was different, but it wasn't fun. But if you want fun, if you want different, and you're here and you haven't checked out Gamble Comics, and you have not read the 68-page graphic novel of Everlasting Survivors, Volume 1, all day long. Jeff Hicks cover, Nick Crook cover. There are limited first printings still available at Etsy.com. The link is in the description every week. So any one of these videos, if you tune in, you check them out, there'll be a link to the store. There are limited quantities available. As I said, these covers will never be printed again. There are 2 new covers, one new one from Jeff Hicks and one new one from Fabry Ferdinand, the ongoing artist for When the Story Continues. Please like the video, comment on the video, share the video with your friends. I know that it's a downer of a topic, and I know that it's, not pleasant. It's not a pleasant book, but that's what happens when you do that big old comic don't, which is be disrespectful to at least half of your audience. But next week we are going to have the thing that I promoted last week as to being next week because I was wrong. But next week on the channel, Mr. Super Oz, I, Josiah, and G will return with our WWE Triple Shot. We are going to talk about what we think is going to happen, what we want to happen, and a wild card for WWE Backlash. Personally, I feel like they're some of my best pitches. I already have them planned out. It's going to be a good time. And thanks for watching. I will hopefully see you in the comments. I will comment back. Like I said, anybody wants these books, hit me up. We'll figure it out because I don't really have any desire to keep them. I'm big on being a completionist, as you might notice, and since I'm not going to collect the complete series, if you want to give it a shot, hit me up. Bye.